took several homes, 10 to be specific, before I really started to catch on and say, okay, I get it, I know what she's talking about, and I love it.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Hey, welcome to the program, everybody. Dustin Harris, a quick mini-sode for you. I'm going to answer a question from Jonie that just came in actually over my Facebook, what do they call it, Messenger. Jonie writes, I've been using an iPad for years to do my mobile inspections. I see that you use your iPhone. How well does that work? Great question, Jonie. Can't wait to answer it. It's a question I get actually pretty regularly from appraisers, and I'm going to answer it here in just a second. I want to pause here and remind you that we are sponsored by ANOW Software. ANOW is the way that I monitor and take care of my business, and I can do it from my iPhone, Jonie. ANOW is spelled A-N-O-W. You can find them at anow.com. Again, it's A-N-O-W, as in appraisersnow.com. By the way, I love questions. If you have questions like Jonie or something else, I would love to help you. There's a couple different ways you can get a hold of me. The easiest is probably email thecoach@theappraisercoach.com. Very simple. thecoach@theappraisercoach.com. You can also reach out to me via Facebook, as Jonie did, and send me your questions. I would love to answer them, and even do so online. I did ask permission. Jonie gave me permission. She said, don't use my last name, but she did give me permission to do a quick mini-sode for you today, because this is a pretty common question. And by the way, I usually answer these questions that come in directly, quickly, so you don't have to wait until the episode comes out to get an answer to your question, Jonie. She knows I answered her up front. But it was one of these questions that I felt, you know what, if Jonie has this question, I know others have this question, because it's something that comes up quite often. People email me, they message me, they post in forums, and the question on the table is, can you really use a phone for your mobile inspections? Now, many of you know I use AllMode Software. I use their mobile app. Their app allows me to be able to, on-site, gather all the data, gather all the photos, even start a work file if I need to, audio notes. I can write notes that don't go in the report but stay in the work file, and of course the sketch. That's probably the biggest question that people have when we're talking about screen real estate. Now, when I mean real estate, I'm talking about size, screen size. Yes, size does matter. Okay, and Jonie's question, I think, goes to size. She's been using an iPad, and she didn't specify whether it was an iPad or an iPad mini, but I've used them both. I've used an iPad full-sized first when I first started this out, and then I switched to an iPad mini, and then I switched to my phone. Now, a big shout out to Brienne, a good friend of mine on the East Coast, a mastermind member, who first told me that I needed to switch from an iPad mini to a iPhone Plus. At the time, I think it was a 6. I had a 6, and she said, you really got to switch to the 6 Plus, and you can do your inspections on there. And I said, come on, really? No, it's not big enough. And she showed me a few things at the mastermind. I was skeptical, but I decided to trust her. I ended up hating her for about 2 weeks. I say tongue-in-cheek. I love you, Brian, but I did not like you for 2 weeks. I thought I'd made a big mistake. It was very challenging, very difficult. But then I started learning little tips and little tricks, which I'm going to share with you in just a second, okay? But I became hooked. And yes, I still use an iPhone, still use a Plus. I have used a smaller phone as well, and they work. Okay, just not quite as well. I do like the Plus size, the 6 Plus or the 8 Plus or the new 10s and 11s. But I want to share with you a couple things that you might want to consider when we get back from the break. But first, I want to have you consider ANOW Software. Have you considered ANOW Software to help you be more efficient, more effective at running your and managing your appraisal business? For example, are you keeping track of all of your orders and where they're at? At a moment's notice, can you click on a button and see every report that you're working on that needs comps pulled? Can you see every report that needs scheduling done? Can you see every report that is ready to be uploaded and final quality control check? Can you check that information with the system that you're using? It is a simple thing with ANOW Software. Check them out. Go to anow.com. One more time, it's anow.com. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about a question came in from Jonie. Jonie asks, I've been using an iPad for years to do my mobile inspections. First of all, congratulations, Jonie, for doing mobile inspections and using a tablet. And then the question came in, I see that you use your iPhone. How well does that work? And the answer, Jonie, is great. It works really, really well. One of the problems I had in using a tablet is I did not have one that was connected to data. So every time I had to download or upload a report from my iPad, and I know you can do otherwise, but I just didn't have it hooked up that way, I would have to connect to my hotspot on my phone. So I was using my phone anyway, I just wasn't using it to gather the data. And one of the reasons I really liked using a tablet is because it had a bigger screen size, and it was easy to see, and it was easy to draw the sketch, and it was easy to gather the information. There was more data on the screen, at a glance. It just was easier, but it came with some drawbacks. Number one, the iPad that I had did not have a flash, so that was a challenge. When I was in a dark REO property, for example, I would have to find some creative ways to take pictures that where the electricity wasn't on. There were other issues that I had to deal with. For example, because of the benefit of having more screen real estate, you also have the drawback of there's more screen real estate, right? There's more to deal with. There's more bulk to pack around. How do you carry that? How do you keep it from dropping? With my phone, I can hold it in one hand and I can measure with my laser with the other hand. And it was a bit of a challenge. I found some very innovative ways. And by the way, a tablet is not a bad way to go, Jonie. But I just find it's just so much more convenient with my phone. I've got a flash. It's directly connected to cellular. It is big enough to do what I need to do. Now, let me just share with you a couple of things that you might want to be aware of, Jonie. Number one, you're probably, in fact, it's not probably, in my discussion with Jonie back and forth, she informed me that she uses her iPad as a balancing tool so that she can keep her laser straight. She actually has it connected somehow on the back of her iPad, which allows her to be able to kind of lean against a corner, which steadies the laser when she's shooting to the other end of the wall. I used to do that as well, Jonie. It's a great idea, and you're not going to have that convenience with an iPhone. So just keep that in mind. So there's a couple things that I've learned over the years. Number one, I can use my elbow the same way that I used to use the iPad. If I have a particularly long wall that I have to keep that laser steady on, I will actually bump my I'm doing it now, you can't see it, but I will put my elbow up against the wall and then hold the laser in the hand that is braced against the wall, and then I can lean into the wall, and it usually keeps it pretty steady. Okay, now as I get older, maybe I won't be able to do that as well, but for now it works just fine for me. Okay, so that's one thing. Number two is called pinch and zoom. Okay, you all know what I'm talking about. When it comes to the sketch, most people are worried that how do you have a whole sketch on a screen and really tell what you're doing? And the answer is you don't. You don't have the whole sketch on the screen. You pinch and zoom in to the section that you're working on, and then you can zoom out to make sure that you keep your bearing straight. I zoom in and out constantly throughout the sketch, and it works just fine. Okay, now you've heard me talk about the 10 House Challenge. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my website, theappraisercoach.com, go to the blogs. By the way, if you're not signed up for my blogs, folks, they're free. They come out every single week, and you just have to put your email in there, okay? But go in and just type in 10 House Challenge. You know what I'm talking about. I had to go through that myself when I switched from an iPad, when Brianne suggested, convinced, twisted my arm, and made me beg for mercy. I finally jumped on. I finally did it, and I'm glad I did. But it took several homes, 10 to be specific, before I really started to catch on and say, okay, I get it. I know what she's talking about, and I love it. You'll love it as well. Yes, you can do inspections with an iPhone or another type of a phone, okay, a smartphone. You can do it. It takes some getting used to, but I don't think you'll go back. Thanks for joining me today, folks. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
Oh, editor, I hope that you're not hearing the voice. I've got people talking right outside my door. And I'm trying to talk really loud so you can't hear them. But we'll do our best here. Holy cow. Loud people.